Welcome to the Dylan Hodder Show. I'm back and we are previewing Backlash. This guy right over here. Joe, introduce yourself.
Yeah, you can find me at Java Joe Sports on the X. I love all things sports. Um, and a lot of people may not consider it, but wrestling, sports entertainment, if you will. So I'm excited to talk about what's going on with the next PLE, and let's see what stories they got cooking here in the kitchen at WWE.
So, uh, quick question. If it's not entertaining, then is it just sport?
Um, I mean, there's winners and losers. Granted, everybody in the building knows before the fans get there, but sometimes they can make on the fly decisions that can surprise all of us. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I'll say it's entertainment first, sports second.
yeah, but I'm saying if it's not entertaining, if it's just like boring as hell, would it then just be sports?
Well, I mean, afterwards, then you say there's 2 hours that you can't get back.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like every segment Nia Jax in. But anyway, let's.
Ouch.
I had to. It was too easy.
That's
Eh,
okay. Most of the
eh,
IWC agrees with you.
yeah. So let's just dive into the matches here. So we got Dirty Dominik Mysterio against Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. Does Dirty Dom retain?
Me personally, I think he does. I don't love quick changes in titles. I think a person should have a run with it. Granted, it doesn't need to be, the 5 year run or 1 year run like some of the most recent um holders of the important belts. But I think it's too quick a changeover. And I think they are gonna really want to kind of like progress this Dom and Finn and the potential of Finn getting kicked out of the Judgment Day. I think they'll use this match as another rung in that particular ladder. Maybe some kind of miscom between him and Dominic that almost cost him the belt. But he ends up retaining at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big question would be, um, does the eventual Dom Finn blow up need to have a belt to it? That's the big $1 million question. And depending on how big the initial blow up is, that will tell us the tale. Is now the best time to drop for Dom to drop the title? Absolutely not. I do think Dom retains. I think it's a very dirty pin, very
Uh,
dirty way, or it
yeah.
could even be one of those no decision deals where just all hell breaks loose. That, but either way, Dom's walking out of St. Louis with the IC title, in my opinion. So next we got the Fatal Four Way: Jacob Fatu, L.A. Knight, Damian Priest, and Scottish Psychopath Drew McIntyre. Who's walking out as the U.S. champ?
For me, it's a Jacob retain. Like zero doubt in my mind. That he retains, and some of it's kind of like for the same reasons that I think Dom wins. I think they're really trying to set up that Solo and Jacob thing. You're starting to see some of those remnants, some of those seeds being planted. That's going to be the eventuality. That's going to be the end game at some point, whether that's SummerSlam, whether that's some major international PLE between now and then. That's the end goal, and they've already kind of planted the seeds. If you remember the conversation that Solo and Jacob had with with Nick Aldis in that room, and how that ended that conversation where Nick tells Solo that no, you're trying to screw Jake up. They've already planted the seeds for that. Um, I don't love, and I think this is something that you'll agree with because you've mentioned it before. I don't love Drew getting thrown into a mid-card situation. Um, that guy's a main eventer to me. He needs to be in the main event scene. I think he was just kind of thrown into that mix just because of the history that he has with Damian Priest, has with LA Knight. I think it was a natural fit in that aspect, but I really do think that two of those people are main eventers and were thrown in this mix just to build Jacob. I think this is a textbook. Hey, let's put some main eventers in there. Let's put some popular people in there. And then Jacob comes out looking even stronger, having beaten those three.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jacob walks out as the champion, but I don't. But with this blow up coming down the pike with him and Solo, that rivalry, I don't think needs a belt. Um,
I can agree
like
with that.
like with
Yeah.
unlike with Dom and Finn, I think you gotta throw the belt in there because it fits because it's pretty much a
Well,
measuring contest essentially.
yeah, and they've already established the dynamic that whoever has the belt has the power. You notice the transition of the power to Damian when he won the world championship. You kind of saw how the two of them acted when they had the tag team belts. Um, for the Judgment Day, it's felt like whoever has had the belt has been seen as the power there. Where in the family, I mean, it's just it's family.
Yeah,
That in itself already comes with everything you need for a match to make it worth it.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Priest or McIntyre walk out as the champ, and then they just continue their feud with the belt. But I I do think at the end of the day, it's going to be Jacob walking out with the title. Um, but yeah, I mean, if Liv wasn't off doing a movie right now, she'd be the leader of the Judgment Day. So, um,
Valid.
yeah, it is an interesting power dynamic with the Judgment Day where it's pretty much like a musical chairs on who's the leader. Although I would like to see Finn get a solid run as like the unquestioned leader of the Judgment Day. Bring that Bullet Club vibe back a little bit. And that could be the angle going forward with AJ Styles, where Finn kind of a talk ends up working with AJ and completely turns on everybody on the Judgment Day. Then you got remnants of the Bullet Club against the Judgment Day, and you just have that whole sprawl, and you end up with some kind of like say at SummerSlam you got Finn Balor and AJ Styles versus Dom and uh JD, and with some sort of stipulation involving the uh the title, the IC title.
No, I'll
But
do you one better there. Uh, just because I'm a huge fan of his and I do want to see him get really in the mix of things. I would love to see um Karrion Cross and Scarlett somehow involved in that. Kind of like just because he's just been on AJ Styles to go back to a previous version of himself. And I think he could be seen kind of like as the catalyst to him, reaching that point. And I would love to see him just because, the numbers to make the numbers work. Um, I think he would be a good ad. Um, the both of them would be a good ad there
yeah, and
down the
then
road.
yeah, and on top of that, yeah, that interesting dynamic of you have uh you got Dom, JD, Carlito, AJ, Finn, Karrion Cross, but then also outside the ring you got Liv and Raquel, and then you got Scarlett, and and obviously you can have Liv off preparing for the for her title match or whatever while Raquel's out there supporting them, and that way it's a little bit more even. But still, but with Fatu and Sikoa, you don't need a belt. You just make it Samoan tribal rules and let them go. Turn that mat crimson. Hopefully at SummerSlam, which that's in Nashville, isn't it? This year? Or is it
Um,
Minnesota?
I don't recall. I don't know if they're because
I
remember, they've been doing this thing where like well, at least they did it with Indy where they pick like three of the major core fours and putting them in the same place. I don't know if that applies to this year. I don't know if they're doing that
I
this year.
no, I don't think it's this year. I think it's in Minnesota because SummerSlam coming out 2 days for 2 days. That came out at SummerSlam last year before the indie deal.
MetLife.
Okay.
2025 SummerSlam's in MetLife this year.
Oh, oh, so Jimmy Hoffa's burial ground. But anyway, so the next match is probably gonna be one that you're gonna want to turn away from because of your love for Pat. But we got Pat McAfee against Gunther. Um, does uh does Pat make it to Monday Night Raw?
Oh man, it's gonna be tough. Listen, I didn't think he was gonna even do his show on Tuesday after Gunther choked him out. So I 1000% would understand if it just doesn't go his way. Listen, I think there's gonna be two prevailing thoughts here. I think there's going to be a vast majority of the IWC who's going to think anything short of a complete massacre is doing Gunther injustice. Um, I think I think Pat's a team player, and I think he would be totally fine with helping Gunther reestablish that he is this monster, that he is this um textbook heel that has no regard for human life. Um, I think Pat would totally be on board with taking those bumps for the greater good of Gunther moving forward. Um, because I think you'll find a subsection of people who weren't exactly thrilled with Jey Uso winning that championship at WrestleMania at his expense. Um, so for me, I would hate to see it because I love Pat. Pat's my dog. Um, but for the long-term success, for the greater good of business, um, if he doesn't beat the crap out of Pat, I don't know where he goes from here.
Yeah, I mean,
That's just me.
I mean, I don't remember if it was with you we were watching WrestleMania or if I was watching with a buddy of mine, but I- as soon as that whole thing went down with Jay and Gunther, I like the fact that Jay won. I didn't like that it was a damn near instant tap out. It felt
Yeah,
rushed.
yeah, I
It
agree.
was sloppy. Did did a horrible disservice to Gunther, and really the only way you're gonna fix that is an absolute massacre that would make Al Capone cover his eyes. This has to be Gunther has to paint the town crimson. It's got to be ugly. It's got to be a bloodbath, and we're talking like John Moxley style blood.
I'm
Like,
thinking that's funny you should mention that. What I'm thinking, what I want to see is Lesnar Cena when
yeah,
Cena took like 50 Germans. Like that's what I'm talking about. He'll have his spurts, like every face does. He'll have that hot moment where he catches lightning in the bottle, but for the most part, it's
I
gotta be it's gotta be without a doubt type situation.
I don't even know if I want to see like that spurt. I want to see an instant crush. And you can, and you'll be able to sell this because football's coming back. Pat's gonna be going to do that. You you have Gunther just decimate Pat McAfee. They're like Gunther has zero hit point damage, essentially.
All
I
right.
mean it a massacre. It just uh I would even go so far as to say Michael Cole t puts down the headset, goes in the ring, and starts begging for mercy. Make Gunther be the baddest guy on the block and get the fans who, over the last number of months, have kind of just started cheering on everything. I want to see a grown man cry. That's what I want to see. I want to see a crowd. I want to see a crowd, somebody in the crowd, a grown man crying from how decimated Pat McAfee is going to get. I want it to
Yeah.
be that level of ugly.
Yeah. So bad that Cole comes up from the announce booth and just lays over him and just kind of says, "Don't. It's over, man. It's done. It's done." That'd be
Like,
great. That would add a little something to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want to see out of this match. Because that's really the only way you can go to actually have something come out of this positive for Gunther. And then we got the Battle of the Irish Women. Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. God, they gotta figure out a way to shorten that up. But anyway, who who's walking out of there?
Okay, so I'm gonna go against something that I just said maybe 20 minutes ago. So I don't love quick title changes, right? I don't love that. However, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing a situation where, and this is something that I've been complaining about to my friends when we're um, watching the shows is, um, what are they doing with these mid-card belts? How are they making them important? Okay, now, fast forward to now, where you got this fatal four-way with some main eventers in there, Jacob and LA Knight. And then you got the main eventers, and I mean, you could kind of throw he's pseudo main event. Like LA Knight's got into the ring with some powerhouses. So, but I mean, he's been fighting for mid card belts for the most part. I think what they're trying to do here is the same thing. They're trying to make this Intercontinental title important. You saw Becky go down to NXT, win the NXT belt, serving two purposes. One, again the Grand Slam, but also she put over a lot of women when she was down there, then loses it to Valkyria. I think it's similar here. I think they want to put the strap on her to make this belt important. Get some people fighting her for this particular belt to put them over, and then at some point she'll pass the torch to someone else. Um, and then moving forward, the hope is that belt is stamped. Um, and I think Becky's the perfect fit for that just because um she's already kind of like played the caretaker role for some of these belts that they wanted to get visibility on. So I think they go Becky here, playing the long game to make the IC belt important.
So I do think Becky is gonna walk out as the champ. I do think we see a title change, but I think what's gonna end up Bailey is gonna end up getting involved some way somehow. She's gonna make her return on Saturday night. She's gonna try to do something to help out Lyra, and it backfires. And and that's how Becky gains the belt. Then Lyra gets angry with Bailey, and you have
Hmm.
this three-way
Kind of
set
like an
up.
Io Rhea situation when Rhea tried to help Io and she lost her shot at the belt at WrestleMania type deal.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can see that.
it's gonna be one of those situations. Because like you said, if you want to make that mid card title mean something, Becky, Bailey, and then You got Lyra getting that push to the moon, working with those two, and you have that program run all the way to SummerSlam. And at SummerSlam, that's where Lyra gets her revenge. And honestly, the way that I would book, I would go even a step further on booking that. Have a triple threat elimination match, and you have Lyra pin both of them on the same night. That way, for the rest of her career, Lyra can say she pinned Becky and Bayley on the same night. She is instantly over. That's how Jericho got over. I pinned The Rock
That's
and
fair.
I, I pinned The
I don't
Rock and
I don't
Stone Cold.
I don't know if they my only thing is that I'd be worried about if they would put that much energy into the IC belt, like to the point where they, do something like they did with the undisputed title back then, as you referenced with Jericho. Would they put that much energy and committing a large chunk of time for something like that? That's the only thing I would worry about. Um, I personally think they're doing enough by putting Becky in the mix, putting Bayley in the mix. Um, but and here's what I'm worried about on the other side of this. Um, like who do you have lined up as these, mid-carders that are gonna, that Becky is going to, try to put over until SummerSlam? Where's the plan for that? I need to see how that's gonna work out. Um, because that's a lot of the complaints that people had about Cody's run after WrestleMania is that it almost felt like what we were watching was they were just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it would stick, putting them against AJ Styles, putting him against like it just felt a lot of randomness um with what with what happened there. I need to know what they plan to do, who they plan to bring up by doing this. And that'll be interesting to watch down the pike.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as having those three all tied up together, going all the way to SummerSlam, with I mean, as far as with the women's champ on Raw, I'm not too concerned with, because with Io and Rhea, you got that whole situation going along with Jade, or no, not Jade, Booker T's girl.
Roxanne
Yeah,
Perez,
Roxanne. Yeah, Roxanne and her partner,
Julia.
yeah, Julia. And then Rhea, that can take you all the way to SummerSlam too, with
Oh, for sure.
that whole
Yeah.
four way.
Yeah, and then that shows again the youth movement, including them. I read that Roxanne like is going to be like the plan is for her to be main roster for the majority of 25. Like that's the plan. This is why they kind of booked her into this dynamic with Io Sky and the women's championship. That's the plan. So I would like to see that. Then it gives me kind of like an idea of what the plan is going to be usage wise, because like you said before, Liv is going to be taking that break to film the movie. So with that being said, it's going to open up a little bit of time on the women's side of things as to what they're going to try to do with them. You've got people like Lash Legend out there that's that you know her tag partner was part of the cuts in NXT. Um so like they're definitely moving to her to be in a singles type situation. Wouldn't mind her getting a shot, kind of like a throwback to when they had the US title open, Cena had the open challenge, and then you see KO come out there and take on that challenge. Like I would like to see something like that, maybe with the IC belt and pushing the young female talent with Becky. That'd be cool. I'd like to see something like that.
Well, the thing is with that, you'd have to put that belt on a babyface for it to make sense.
Fair.
So
Yeah, fair.
Bailey might be the best option going forward, depending on how
Yeah, if
whether you
they
want to.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to turn Bailey, and Bailey was the one that turns, but in my fantasy booking, it's Lyra that turns. So Bailey
Okay,
stays the baby face, and Becky could shoot a dog in the middle of the ring. She's still gonna get cheered. I mean, come on now.
it's fair, honestly. Honestly.
But yeah, and I mean, as far as the with Tiffany, they're just wasting her away already. So that's unfortunate. But that will be for that whole discussion will be for a different day. But and then we got 25 years, one final time in this weird upside down world that we're living in. You have the rain is falling up, squares are now circle, red is now blue. John Cena's the bad guy and Randy Orton's the good guy. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this, and you and I have had conversations about this off screen about how we felt it was going to go down on his way out. We knew he was going to work his friends on the way out. We wanted to see it because the whole time that he's worked his friends, he's been the good guy and they've been the bad guy, and now the roles are reversed. And I'm just super excited to see, him fight people like CM Punk, him fight people like Randy Orton, where they've traditionally been the bad guy and him the good guy. Although CM Punk tweener, right? Because he was
Cena
against the machine, right? So
Punk
he's kind
was
of a
the
tweener.
ultimate anti-hero.
Yeah, yeah, very very Stone Cold-esque in that he was supposed to be the bad guy, and then people who were like, "Yeah, F your boss," like, So yeah, I'm excited about this. I think Cena wins. Um, and I think he has to win. To further along this heel era, heel champion era. Um, and what better way to put him over as heel by beating Orton in his hometown? Like I mean, that's a perfect scenario. It's a perfect situation. Because we all know how it's going to end, right? He's going to what's best for business is that eventually ends up taking that final L and you know exit stage left. Um, not it's not going to be this weekend. I think this is just a perfect opportunity for him to further his heel champion run.
My question would be, now, I do you know how old Orton's kids are?
Uh no, actually I don't. We'll look on
Because
that.
because here's the thing. Here's what I would almost want to have happen. Um, uh, Cena beats down Orton, gets him essentially incapacitated, and if like Orton's oldest is like 14, 15, 16, old enough to kind of know the business, get him involved some way, have Cena throw him over the barricade, get him involved. Mom's over the barricade freaking out, and then Orton comes to life and comes back, but either but ultimately
I
I
say they're on
think
the younger side.
okay, then you bring
Young-ish, like preteen-ish, I think is where we're looking.
okay, so you just have Cena taunt the kids, or you have Orton's wife get involved some way somehow, because because I think that the foundation for something along those lines was laid with that whole you need to have kids, John. That foundation was laid. So
It's true. Yeah, that was part of the promo. Yeah,
something's gonna happen with that. You lay the seed work for it.
I like
However,
that.
I as much as they're billing this to be the last time, I don't think it's going to be the last time we see Cena Orton. I think we're going to have some kooky, no decision, like the AA RKO double hit, and they end up pinning each other. Something along those lines, or John Cena or Cena just straight up just on the ref. gets disqualified.
That clip's been
Just,
circulating the last couple of days.
just like
Yeah,
Orton did.
yeah,
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be something along those lines. I think we're gonna get. I think this program's gonna go a little bit further. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was it with Orton Cena. But do I do want to see one time them do the AARKO double hit and at least get a double near fall out of it. But I do think ultimately John Cena walks out of there as champion. I don't see any sense of Orton walking out of there as champion.
yeah. I agree. I'm curious where his particular end game is, as far as who he drops it to. If that's Cody again, if that's another face that they're planting the seeds for to try to build. So I'm very interested to see who he's gonna take that last fall against. Um, but yeah, as far as this weekend's concerned, perfect situation for him to progress as a heel to beat the face in his hometown.
Yeah, I I would I kind of want to see some sort of I guess Cody or Randy is the only one that kind of fits that mold, unless I'm leaving somebody out, but someone that has that legacy of dad, grandpa being in the wrestling business and because you can really build that once we get down towards the last couple of dates of oh my God, John Cena is going to end professional wrestling. He's going to take the true belt and everything after that's going to be just a paper champion. Oh my God, somebody's got to beat him. And I would and And honestly, I wouldn't be super surprised if The Rock pulls what he did at WrestleMania. I gotta come in and save the day. They need me. I'm gonna come out and do it. And it's gonna end up completely wrecking the whole thing. That's my biggest fear is The Rock pulling the kind of stuff that he did at WrestleMania the last number of years. And oh, I gotta get involved some way, somehow. The show can't go on without me. And instead of having I don't I don't really want to see Cody go after it again. Not at least not right now. We'll see what happens when he comes back and how he finds that road back. But I do want to see somebody with some sort of pedigree make their way back. And I think we're gonna get a little bit of that kind of Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns sort of interference and having some of the having legends of yesterday come in to try to help whoever is to protect the business. Because the way that John Cena's put it is it's him versus the business. And we all know those old guys, they'll put it all on the line to protect the business.
Yeah,
So
very true.
I would like to see something like that. But
I can see that.
I do think whoever Cena drops the belt to, I think it'll be first time champion.
Interesting.
So uh who you have an idea on who you want to see John drop the belt to?
Oh no, hard to say. That particular belt is always gonna, you know, listen, the way Roman spoke about that belt, you know it, I know it, we all know it, we've seen it. As great a job as Seth did holding the World Heavyweight Championship, up until that WrestleMania that Roman lost his, um, it's always gonna be the A1 championship. So that particular championship, um, when that championship changes hands, it's that guy is going to be the guy. He's going to be considered the guy. So you saying that it's going to be a first time champion is very interesting to me because, even though Cody is a first time champion, the first time he held that belt in WWE, he also had all that cachet. He had, they built the trials and tribulations. They put him through the Brock Lesnar thing. They put him through the Seth Rollins thing, and then he had the fight with his shoulder. He had lost the previous time when he tried to fight for the belt. They built a whole great story around that and it ended great. Um, who's worthy of that? Like, who do you think they're thinking of right now? Because they do this year by year. It's a year by year thing. As soon as WrestleMania is over, they're writing a story that at some point is going to end in next year's WrestleMania. So basically, what you're asking is who do we think right now, as a face, would go ahead and take that mantle moving forward? Who do we see progressing to the point where they'll give them the belt, the actual, whoa, this is the belt? Um,
I don't I it
I don't
just
know if it's first time champion.
it just dawned on me on who is the absolute perfect fit. Braun Breaker.
Hmm.
He's got the legacy. He and I don't think he turns I don't think you do the babyface turn with him. I think you just have that awkward dynamic of heel versus heel because they're cheering for everybody now anyway. So it kind of doesn't really matter anymore. But you have you have Seth go after Jay, and I think his last Cena's last date it's in Boston for like a Saturday night main event, I believe.
Hmm.
So you have Seth going after Jay or whoever the world champion is. You have Braun going after John, and you have this whole thing, and you have this whole thing with Paul Heyman, and you eventually have Braun beat Cena, Rollins beat Jay, and now both of Paul Heyman's guys are world champions, and it's Paul Heyman sitting on top of the world. And now you have Cody, Roman, Punk, Drew, uh, Damian. They now all have to go after not just one mountain. They don't have just one mountain to climb. They have two mountains to climb. And you drag that all the way not just to WrestleMania 42, but you can drag that all the way to WrestleMania 43, or if not even further. And you have the perfect stage set because you're going to have guys try to climb those mountains. You're also going to have guys trying to join that mountain. And eventually you have a faction of Paul Heyman guys. You put the US title belt on somebody in the faction, you put the IC title. You have a whole collective of Paul Heyman guys playing keep away. And you have to now you have another situation of you have WWE versus Paul Heyman and his crew. And I would even go the extra mile and you get Triple H involved. You have him cutting promos on Heyman. You're taking all my belts. We got to get those back. And you have him giving Cody, Roman, Punk the pep talks of we we got to get these belts back. We can't let that conniving little snake hold all the gold. We gotta start getting those back now.
Sounds very NWO-ish.
Yes, it does,
Gives me
but
den NWO vibes.
but Paul would do it better than what Bischoff did, without a doubt in my mind.
We'll see. We'll see how that ends up. So I don't think I think they got to grab one more person. Um, they have the mastermind, they have the muscle,
They got
Um, I think I think they need the psychopath. I think they need the bat S crazy guy, the loose cannon. I think that's I think that's what they need. They need a guy that fits that bill.
the
Um,
the ultimate turn, the wolf himself, Jacob Fatu, turn turning up, turning on Solo, on everybody in the Samoan, everybody in the Onalahi family to join Paul.
no, I don't love that.
I don't
I
hate
don't
it.
love that. I just if he's gonna do anything as far as like turning on a family, whatever, he's just gonna want to do it himself. I think that's his thing. I think and I
I
think if you look at how they're writing it, it's purposeful with how they're writing him wanting to run it on his own because he tried to follow. He tried to be the follower. And then Solo lost, and then Solo takes off and disappears. And then he's kind of like had to take the mantle and whatnot. And then Solo comes crawling back in there, and now he's like, no, and Solo's trying to mooch off the credit, like, oh, I brought Jacob here. If it wasn't for me, Jacob wouldn't be holding the belt, blah, blah, blah. I think they're really trying to push the narrative that Jacob's gonna fly solo.
so would Solo be the one to turn on the family? He already did a version of it. Why not just finish that turn? Join Paul Heyman.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I just personally think they're um kind of separating from like the bloodline as a faction anyway. Like yeah, they're family, but they're not really talking about it a lot. Like they've really kind of made it clear that everyone's kind of like doing their own thing right now.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be an interesting discussion to continue
For sure.
at a different date. But
Definitely for sure.
all right, I think we got the whole ground covered. So uh, uh, where can we find you one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at Java Joe Sports on the X. Link to my writing portfolios on there as well. And also a link to my Twitch, Joe Evolution. Do some gaming on there on occasion. Sometimes we'll host a show every now and again. But yeah, great talking. I can't wait until we watch Backlash and see how close we were.
Yep, and all the links to his stuff will be in the description below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any wrestling, football, racing, all of that here. And if you're watching on Rumble, like and follow. And with that, we'll see you next time. Joe, thanks for coming out. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.